Jacques Audiard, Celine Sciamma, Leah Mysius are collaborating together for a film called Les Olympiades, which means the Olympians. They are actually shooting as we speak, and I sort of like navigated. I checked on the web to see if there was any. There's no casting announcements done mentioned so far, but I was curious to see if there would be anything that shored up, which was not the case. But I was looking at the source material, and obviously the addition of these two strong female auteurs says a lot about the direction that he wants to move in with the Les Olympiades. So, what do you make of all these elements?
It is exciting. Jacques Audiard, he is never one to make, he is always moving in a different direction than expected. His last film was a straight up Western. And this film is really interesting because the background of it is that it's based on a graphic novel by Adrian Tomine, who's a very American graphic novelist. I've read some of his stuff. He's had his work featured on the cover of the New Yorker. He's done like record albums, designs, and things like that. And his viewpoint is very. He really gets into themes of like alienation and disconnection and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's a really interesting material for Jacques Audiard to play with. Who usually, at least in his films, is playing with very big, kind of broad emotions. Where Adrian Tomine generally is a lot more insular. So that's one element, and I think for me, that it's really exciting that Celine Sciamma is doing this screenplay. As you know, she's coming off in just a tremendous year with Portrait of a Lady on Fire. But what people tend to forget is she does have her own sort of like screenwriting background.
Yeah.
Uh, Probably most notably with My Life as a Zucchini previously, which was a remarkable animated film. So it's a pretty cool meeting of the minds. I'm very curious to see what this collaboration looks like because on paper these are two very different kinds of filmmakers.
And I'm quite actually interested in the other writer. So essentially, we're getting the idea that it's going to focus on young people. It's going to focus on a young female protagonist, and sort of like it says adolescence, and if we reference potentially, so it's based on a book of short stories, and that one sort of like looked at parenthood and mortality. I don't know how it's going to transfer here, but as you know, Sciamma also did the movie Girlhood, and for Leah Mysius, she did a movie called Ava with Naoi Abitsi, and that was featured at the Critics Week. And for me, that was just a breath of fresh air. It captured lightning in a bottle, a free spirit, and sort of like the language that this filmmaker used to portray this young adult in sort of like her growing pain rituals, but also her first romance. I thought it was a really original take. And this filmmaker slash screenwriter was actually working on her second feature before the COVID hit. So I'm not certain where her sophomore feature film went. But what I do know is that the youthful exuberance that we find in Ava matched with Sciamma, that language that's going to appear on the screenplay is going to be a lot for Audiard to work with. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing who he cast. Did he go for non actors perhaps? But yeah, just it's revisiting sort of like the cityscape that he feels most comfortable with, and obviously Portraits of a Prophet and Depan to an extent, and yeah, there appears to be a lot of cool things working here. But as you said, this is a second adaptation from English novel, which is kind of quite interesting in itself.
Yeah, and so I just want to circle back. Everything you said is right on. I think it's just a really cool trio of talent, really, to bring this to life. And the work that it's based on is called Killing and Dying, and it's actually 6 interconnected stories. So knowing that how Audiard likes to change genres and test himself, maybe this is his like attempt to do something like Altman-esque or whatnot. And the film is in production, as you mentioned, right now. So could this be yet another film that Thierry is going to have at his disposal for Cannes? I mean, I'm sure those conversations are happening, and we're talking. I mean, when we're going to have to do an episode about next year's potential titles for Cannes, and it's just going to be a list of like, top tier films, like, and this is going to be another one I think we're going to have to consider to be in the mix.
Yeah, there must be 5, 6, 7 features. I mean, we got Taijo, we got Verhoeven, we have the filmmaker Molly Mullers. I mean, there's just so many. Dumont. Those films have benefited from the most post-production time, perhaps in a lot of these people's careers. So those films are just going to be more than ready. So yeah, Audiard is most likely going to be added to that lineup. He's filming now. This thing is wrapped up in 2 months, and he's got a wet print ready to go in the month of April. So if we have a 2021 version of Cannes, edition of Cannes, for certain this is in that talk. I'm Eric Lavallée. I'm editor-in-chief and site owner for IONCINEMA.com. And this is
Kevin Jagernauth, contributing writer for the playlist.
And together we are IndieSponge.